So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are aware of what's currently going on with Square Enix right now, because Square Enix is in a rough spot, especially if you read the reports when it comes to them losing money and how they want to go multi-platform to see if they could help solve the issue with that. And I had a feeling that something like this was going to happen down the line, especially when you have exclusive games to that said console. Because you got to look at it like this. Not every person out there is going to have an access to a PlayStation 5. Like, just because I have an access to a PlayStation 5 doesn't mean that my next door neighbor Tyler is going to have an access to a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or a Nintendo Switch or a PC. There's some people out there that can only afford one console and play whatever said games are on that console, because we do live in a crazy world nowadays and shit's expensive and not many people can really just throw money at anything that they see in front of their faces. So I had a feeling, you know, since Final Fantasy VII is like so popular and a lot of people are excited to play these games, there's only going to be so much people to go out there, buy PlayStation 5 and play these Final Fantasy games. So what's currently going on at Square Enix, I can't really say that I am surprised, but I am happy that they're rethinking their whole marketing strategy of how they want to move on from here to see how they can grow better as a company, because I am a big fan of what they're doing. I think it will work out very well with them. We're just going to have to wait and see exactly where that goes. But before I continue on, I'll save more of my thoughts later on. Obviously, as we go through this article, I'm going to go over this article that I saw on IGN, going more in depth the whole situation that's currently going on with the company. So I want to begin sharing that with you guys right now. So it says right here, Square Enix has announced a significant company reboot amid tumbling profits, reporting its financial performance for the financial year ending March 31st, 2024. Sales in the digital entertainment segment, which includes video games, rose by 2.6%, but profit fell by 15.8%. This despite the sale of Final Fantasy VII 16, Final Fantasy VII Pixel Remaster, Foam Stars, and FF7 Rebirth. Specifically on HD games, the subcategory Square Enix uses to encompass all the above games, the company saw a significant operating loss of $8.1 billion, approximately $51.9 million. So yeah, that's a lot of money that they lost. And like I said before we started talking about the article, it's mainly because not that many people have access to a PlayStation console, and Sony made sure that they locked down that exclusive when it came to those Final Fantasy games. So because of the whole situation of them losing money, I can't really say I'm surprised, because again, I'll repeat what I said before, not that many people are gonna have the money to just go out there and spend over $500 plus tax, because I remember when I bought my PlayStation, it was like, what, $550. On top of that, it's like a $70 game. Not that many people want to throw money out like that. So you're like paying over like $600 or so just to play a Final Fantasy VII game. That's wild. So continuing on, Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth both launched as PlayStation 5 exclusives. And while Square Enix has announced a sales figure for Final Fantasy 16, it has yet to do so for FF7 Rebirth, the second game in the company's trilogy of FF7 Remake. In its financial report, all Square Enix would have to say is that it suffered an incomplete journey to better profitability in HD game development, and that it would have launched many titles but failed to live up on some profit expectations, especially outsourced titles and some AAA titles. It seems likely FF7 Rebirth at least is included in that. In response to the tumbling profits, Square Enix announced what it calls Square Enix Reboots and Awakens, a 3-year plan of rebooting for long-term growth. This involves a rethink across all parts of the business, but the highlight is a shift to multi-platform strategy. Square Enix said it will aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PCs. Note the wording here of Nintendo platforms, with Nintendo set to announce its Switch successor console before April of 2025. So yes, I agree that is a very smart business move. I feel like if they want to go down that direction and they want to put their games on multi-platforms, I feel like it will definitely help them out in the long run, because you got to think about it, like I mentioned earlier, people don't always have that said console. So let's say if you have Final Fantasy VII Part 3 being announced and shown off and everything, and then you have that game said to not only be on like a PlayStation 5, because we still don't know if like the whole deal with Final Fantasy VII when it comes to the whole remake thing is just PlayStation all around when they first started the project, because for all we know, this could have been locked down, so they can't really do anything about that. But let's just say, for example, with the third part coming out, let's just say, okay, it's not just on PlayStation, but you could also play this game on the new Nintendo Switch 2, which the new Nintendo Switch 2 is said to be a very strong console, said to be as strong as like a PS4 Pro. So that'd be a good way to get people that own those consoles to, you know, play a game like that. And if they look at like, okay, this is actually working out well, we're actually gaining our profit back, then they would probably be really happy for the new direction that they're going down. So I completely support this 100%. And continuing on, it says, as part of this multi-platform push, Square Enix says it will build an environment where more customers can enjoy our titles in regards to major franchises and AAA titles, including catalog titles. The suggestion in all this is mainline Final Fantasy games will ditch PlayStation exclusively going forward, although Square Enix is yet to announce specifics beyond Final Fantasy 16's upcoming launch on PC. It's also a shift from quantity to quality, Square Enix says, in a bid to deliver unsure fun. Square Enix has been accused of pumping out too many Final Fantasy games in too short of a time frame, so perhaps this means a release of major Final Fantasy games will be spaced out a bit more. So definitely, if they're starting to think of like doing a whole new strategy of how they're going to put out their games and how they're going to space them out and everything, like this article says, it could potentially be a thing where we have like those big games that come out for Square Enix. Like, let's say for example, you have a game that has like a 3-year cycle, and every 3 years you get a new game of that series. You never know, things might change, and instead of like 3 years, it could be like 4 years or 4.5 years or something along the lines of that, so they could take more time to work on that game so it could come out the best, it's not buggy, and you're able to enjoy it on every single console. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be the same case with the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, because I just feel like it would be a miss if they missed the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII, because you would look at it and be like, okay, it's 30 years since the original Final Fantasy VII. Why would you not release a third part on that game? Like, you can market so much around that kind of shit. So I don't know if it's going to be for that said game, but I can definitely see it being a thing for like other games that are AAA titles coming from Square Enix, where they could definitely go down a direction like that. Overall, it's a tough time for Square Enix, which had already absorbed $22.1 billion, approximately $140.9 million in what is called a content abandonment losses ahead of today's financial report. Square Enix did not name their canceled or rescoped in development titles. Looking ahead, Dawn Trail, the expansion for ongoing MMO Final Fantasy VII 14, launches in late June. Square Enix also has Kingdom Hearts 4, the third game in the Final Fantasy Remake trilogy, and Dragon Quest 12 in the works. So going over all the news that I read today, to just wrap it up and just keep it simple for the sake of this video, honestly, just go through with it, because it makes the most sense. Multi-platform is honestly the best thing you could do, because I love Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time. So I obviously want to see it performed well. I also want a friend of mine that might not have a PS4, and let's say they have like a Switch 2, for example, whenever that console comes out and the game happens to be on there, I want them to have the opportunity to enjoy that game as well. I want another friend of mine who happens to have like an Xbox Series X. If that game comes out on that said console, I want them to be able to enjoy that game as well. I just want the best of both worlds, and no, this is not Hannah Montana, but I just want this to be the best of both worlds in a way where it's like, okay, everybody can be happy, everybody can play this game, and nobody has to spend like over $600 or so just to play one big game. And I'm looking forward to see like what else comes out after this. So if there's like any other like news reports surrounding Square Enix that happens to be floating online, I'll be sure to put out a follow-up video getting more in depth on, okay, what's currently going on now past what we learned about before. Other than that, that's honestly all my thoughts on this. So I'm curious how you guys feel about it, like how you guys feel about the whole entire situation with Square Enix. Do you guys agree with me that multi-platform is probably the best thing that they can currently do right now? Just let me know all your thoughts on that in the comment section down below. And if you guys want to follow your boy on social media, see him up to on a regular basis, make sure to follow my Twitter and my Instagram. It is located in the description below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on this channel. I really appreciate it. I love all the support you guys give me. You guys are awesome. And also be sure to click on that bell for notifications so you guys are notified right away whenever I upload a new video. So I hope all the guys are having a fantastic day, wherever you guys may be, if it's a daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.